At 06:47 hours on September 17, 1944, Private First Class Raymond Parker crouched behind a jagged coral outcropping 40 yards from a Japanese Type 22 pillbox on Peleliu Island. The bunker had killed 7 Marines in the past 90 minutes. 23 more had died since dawn trying to clear similar fortifications with fragmentation grenades. Parker had 4 Mark II frag grenades clipped to his belt. Standard Marine Corps doctrine said those were the weapons he should use. Standard doctrine had gotten 23 men killed before breakfast. The bunker sat low against the coral ridge, squat and malevolent. Reinforced concrete walls 4 feet thick. Coral rock aggregate mixed into the concrete made it harder than anything American engineers had encountered in the Pacific. The firing port measured 8 inches wide by 4 inches tall, angled downward, designed specifically to defeat grenade attacks. Behind that narrow aperture, 3 feet back in darkness, sat a Type 92 heavy machine gun. 7.7 millimeter. Rate of fire, 450 rounds per minute. Effective range, 200 yards. Parker had tried to get closer twice. Both times, bullets had chewed up the coral inches from his head. The mathematical problem was simple and fatal. Throw a grenade through an 8-inch slot from 20 yards away. Do it while a machine gun fired at you. Miss by 2 inches, and the grenade bounced off concrete, detonated outside. Killed you instead of the Japanese. The numbers didn't lie. Standard frag grenade success rate against Peleliu bunkers, 12%. 88% of throws failed. The Marine throwing was exposed for an average of 4.3 seconds. The Japanese machine gun could fire 32 rounds in 4.3 seconds. Math said, "You died trying." Parker's hands moved to his pack, found the smooth metal cylinder he'd been thinking about since last night, an M15, white phosphorus grenade, 31 ounces. 15 ounces of white phosphorus filler, issued for smoke screens, for marking targets for aircraft, for signaling, not for killing Japanese soldiers. Parker had 3 of them. They were supposed to help pilots find Marine positions. Using them against personnel violated Marine Corps regulations, probably violated Geneva Convention protocols about incendiary weapons, could result in court-martial, dishonorable discharge, prison time. But 23 Marines were dead, and it wasn't even, 700 hours. Parker pulled the WP grenade from his pack. The metal was warm from the tropical heat. He could feel the weight of it, heavier than a frag grenade, different throwing dynamics. He looked at the bunker, looked at the 8-inch firing port, thought about the physics he'd worked out last night in his foxhole while rain hammered his helmet, and he couldn't sleep because he kept seeing Sergeant Chen die. The choice was simple. Follow regulations and probably die. Break regulations and maybe live. Parker pulled the pin. The safety spoon released with a metallic click. The fuse started burning. 4.5 seconds until detonation. He had 4 seconds to throw. What happened in the next 12 hours would change American bunker-clearing doctrine forever. The 1st Marine Division had landed on Peleliu 3 days earlier. September 15, 1944. D-Day. 14,000 Marines hitting the beaches at 08:32 hours. Intelligence had promised the island would fall in 4 days. Maybe less. The Japanese were finished, broken, ready to collapse. Intelligence was wrong. Colonel Kunio Nakagawa commanded the Japanese garrison. 11,000 men, 2 years to prepare defenses. He'd built 500 reinforced concrete bunkers into the coral ridges, each one positioned to support 2 or 3 others. Overlapping fields of fire, interlocking kill zones. You couldn't approach one bunker without being fired on by 3 others. Nakagawa had studied American tactics, studied how Marines cleared fortifications on Tarawa and Saipan. He'd designed his defenses specifically to defeat American doctrine. And it was working. The temperature hit 115 degrees Fahrenheit by 1000 hours each day. The coral rock absorbed heat like a furnace. When American artillery hit the coral, it shattered into fragments sharp as glass. The fragments became secondary shrapnel. American shells created Japanese ammunition. The bunkers themselves were engineering marvels of defensive design. Type 22 pillboxes. Reinforced concrete poured around coral rock aggregate. Walls 4 feet thick at the weakest point, 6 feet thick at the corners. Roofs angled to deflect artillery. Camouflage to blend into coral ridges. Firing ports 8 inches wide, 4 inches tall. Angled 15 degrees downward. A Marine throwing a grenade had to expose himself completely to get the right angle. Had to stand up, had to commit. The Japanese machine gunners waited for that moment. Behind each firing port, 3 feet back in darkness, sat the machine gun, positioned so the muzzle never extended past the aperture. The gunner stayed completely protected. He could see out. You couldn't see in. The Type 92 weighed 122 pounds with its tripod, fired a 7.7mm round, not as powerful as the American .50 caliber, but plenty powerful enough to kill a Marine at 200 yards. And the rate of fire, 450 rounds per minute, meant the gunner could put 32 bullets in the air during the 4.3 seconds it took a Marine to stand up, throw a grenade, and get back down. If he got back down. The casualty math was brutal and precise. In the first 2 days, September 15th and 16th, the 1st Marine Division had lost 187 men killed or wounded trying to clear bunkers. That was an average of 3.2 Marines per bunker. Some bunkers cost more, some cost less, but the average held steady. 3 Marines died for every concrete box neutralized. The standard assault technique followed doctrine exactly. Suppressive fire from 2 or 3 Marines. Keep the Japanese gunner's head down. Another Marine moves forward with fragmentation grenades. Gets close. 20 to 25 yards. Cooks the grenade 2 seconds. Throws hard at the firing port. Tries to get it inside before detonation. 12% success rate. 88% of throws failed. The grenade hit concrete, bounced back, detonated outside the bunker. Shrapnel radius, 15 feet. Kill radius, 5 feet. The Marine who threw it was usually standing inside the kill radius when the grenade detonated. Even if he dove for cover, even if he was fast, shrapnel moved faster. And if you missed, the Japanese knew exactly where you were. They adjusted their machine gun, fired at the spot where you'd exposed yourself, waited for you to try again. The math said you died trying. The statistics proved it. Raymond Parker was 21 years old, born and raised in Salina, Kansas. His father owned a wheat farm. Small operation, 240 acres. Parker had worked that farm since he was 12. Up before dawn, driving tractors, fixing equipment, harvesting wheat, learning that survival meant practical problem-solving. Doctrine didn't harvest wheat, results did. You used the tools that worked. You adapted when conditions changed. You didn't follow a manual when the manual was wrong. 1937 changed everything. The Dust Bowl reached Kansas. Parker watched topsoil blow away in black clouds that darkened the sky at noon. Watched wheat die in fields that looked like deserts. Watched his father lose the farm to bank foreclosure. The Parker family moved to Wichita. Raymond got a job in an aircraft factory, Beechcraft, building training planes for the Army Air Corps. Assembly line work, repetitive, soul-crushing. But it paid $11 a week, enough to help his family survive. December 7th, 1941, changed everything again. Pearl Harbor. Parker heard about it on the radio, heard the announcer's voice crack describing battleships burning, heard President Roosevelt's speech the next day. December 8th, 1941. A date which will live in infamy. Parker walked into the Marine Corps recruiting office in Wichita on January 3rd, 1942. Didn't think about it long. His country needed him. Simple as that. Boot camp at Marine Corps, Recruit Depot, San Diego. 12 weeks. Parker was quiet, competent, followed orders, didn't complain. Made expert rifleman on the range, scored 216 out of 250 possible points. His drill instructor said he had potential if he learned to keep his mouth shut about how doctrine didn't make sense. Parker shipped to the Pacific in August 1942, landed on Guadalcanal September 19, 1942. His first combat operation. The canal was hell. Not the organized hell of prepared defenses. Chaotic hell. Jungle hell. The Japanese attacked from nowhere, disappeared into vegetation, set ambushes, dug fortified positions, fought with tactics American doctrine hadn't anticipated. Parker watched 43 Marines die in his first month on Guadalcanal. Some died in banzai charges, some died in ambushes, some died attacking Japanese bunkers using frontal assault tactics that worked in training but failed in jungle warfare. Parker paid attention, watched what worked, watched what got people killed. Started understanding that observation beat doctrine when doctrine didn't match reality. He learned that Japanese tactics emphasized concealment, ambush, and fortification. American doctrine emphasized frontal assault, overwhelming firepower, and numerical superiority. Sometimes, American doctrine worked. Sometimes it sent good men home in body bags. Parker started carrying extra grenades, different types. Standard issue was 4 Mark II fragmentation grenades. Parker carried 6, also carried smoke grenades. Carried thermite grenades for destroying Japanese equipment. Started experimenting with different throws during training. Learned that smoke grenades created concealment that let you move without being seen. Learned that thermite grenades burned hot enough to destroy Japanese machine guns even inside bunkers. Started thinking about grenades as tools, each one designed for specific purposes, not just as weapons you threw at enemies. His squad mates called him Practical Parker. His officers called him borderline insubordinate. Parker didn't care what they called him. He cared about Marines staying alive. He'd figured out that the right tool for the right job mattered more than following doctrine written by officers who'd never fought Japanese on Guadalcanal. After 6 months on the canal, Parker was promoted to private first class. Quiet competence, willingness to try new approaches when old approaches failed. Reputation for getting results, even if he bent regulations doing it. His squad leader, Sergeant Mike Chen, understood Parker's value. Chen let him experiment, let him try different techniques, trusted him to think for himself. That trust kept Parker alive through Guadalcanal. By the time the 1st Marine Division withdrew from Guadalcanal and headed to Melbourne for rest and refit, Parker had learned 3 critical lessons. First, doctrine was written by people who weren't there, people who didn't see what actually happened when bullets started flying. Doctrine assumed conditions that rarely existed in combat. Second, observation beat assumption. Watch what kills Marines. Watch what saves Marines. Adapt accordingly. The manual couldn't account for every situation. Your brain could. Third, right tool for the right job. Fragmentation grenades killed enemy soldiers in open ground. Smoke grenades created concealment. Thermite grenades destroyed equipment. White phosphorus grenades made smoke for signaling. Each tool had a purpose. Using the wrong tool got people killed. Using the right tool in unexpected ways, that was innovation. Parker carried those lessons to Peleliu. Now he crouched behind coral 40 yards from a bunker that had killed 7 Marines. He held a white phosphorus grenade, the wrong tool according to doctrine, maybe the right tool according to physics. His thumb moved to the safety pin. He was about to find out which mattered more, regulations or results. September 16th, 1944. 14:30 hours. Grid reference 237. Parker's squad had 8 Marines. Sergeant Mike Chen commanded. 12 years in the Corps, veteran of Wake Island. Survived Guadalcanal, experienced, careful, by the book. Chen believed in doctrine. Believed following regulations kept Marines alive. He'd been right often enough to make sergeant. Today, doctrine would kill him. The squad's assignment: clear 3 Type 22 pillboxes, mutually supporting positions, each bunker covering the others. Standard Japanese defensive arrangement. Nakagawa's engineers had positioned them perfectly. You couldn't approach one without being fired on by 2 others. Chen positioned the squad according to Marine Corps Manual FM 21-75. 2 Marines on suppressive fire. Privates Danny O'Brien and Carl Fisher. They fired their M1941 rifles at the firing ports. Not hitting anything, just keeping Japanese heads down. Standard procedure. Chen moved forward with a fragmentation grenade. Distance: 18 yards to the target bunker. Close enough for accurate throw. Far enough to maybe survive if something went wrong. Chen pulled the pin. Held the grenade. Counted 2 seconds. Cooking it. Standard Marine Corps technique. Reduce the time enemy had to throw it back or take cover. Chen's arm came back. Forward. Perfect. Throwing motion. Textbook form. The grenade tumbled through air, heading directly for the firing port. Parker watched from 20 yards back, watched the grenade arc, watched it approach the 8-inch aperture. Impact. The grenade hit concrete 2 inches above the firing port. Not Chen's fault. Perfect throw. But perfect wasn't good enough. Not against an 8-inch target at 18 yards under combat stress. The grenade bounced off reinforced concrete, deflected backward, landed 8 feet from Chen. Chen saw it, tried to move, tried to dive away. 4.5 seconds after leaving Chen's hand, the grenade detonated. Shrapnel radius, 15 feet. Chen was inside it. Fragments tore through him. Killed him instantly. Also hit Corporal James Martinez. Martinez screamed, took shrapnel in both legs, went down hard. The Japanese machine gun opened fire. Bullets chewed up coral where Chen had been standing, where Martinez lay bleeding. Parker moved without thinking. Low crawl. Fast. Reached Martinez. Grabbed his web gear. Dragged him behind cover. Martinez kept screaming. Parker called for corpsmen. Kept pressure on Martinez's legs. Kept him alive. But Chen was gone. Parker looked at Chen's body. Looked at the bunker. The Japanese inside were fine. Untouched. Ready to kill the next Marine who tried the same technique. Parker understood immediately. The problem wasn't Chen's throw. Chen had thrown perfectly. The problem was the weapon. Fragmentation grenades required perfect accuracy. Through an 8-inch hole. From 20 yards. Under machine gun fire. With adrenaline. With fear. With hands shaking. Perfect accuracy was impossible. Even when you threw perfectly, 2 inches of error meant death. Parker helped evacuate Martinez, helped carry Chen's body back to company lines, spent the rest of the day thinking about physics. 2200 hours, Parker's foxhole, rain falling. Temperature dropped to 95 degrees, still hot, still miserable. Couldn't sleep. Kept seeing Chen die. Kept watching that grenade bounce off concrete. Kept hearing Martinez scream. He inventoried his equipment by feel in darkness. Hands moving over grenades clipped to his web gear. 4 Mk2 fragmentation grenades. Standard issue. The same type that killed Chen. 3 M15 white phosphorus grenades. Issued for marking positions. For signaling aircraft. 2 ANM-14 incendiary grenades. For destroying Japanese equipment. Marine Corps doctrine was clear about employment. Frag grenades. Anti-personnel weapon. Primary tool for bunker clearing. WP grenades. Smoke screens only. Aircraft marking only. Incendiary grenades. Equipment destruction only. Doctrine explicitly prohibited using white phosphorus against personnel. Geneva Convention implications. WP caused horrific burns. Stuck to skin. Burned at 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Couldn't be extinguished with water. Using it against humans was a war crime. Court-martial offense. Parker's. Hands stopped on a WP grenade. He thought about the problem. Frag grenades required perfect accuracy through an 8-inch hole. What if you didn't need perfect accuracy? What if you had a weapon that worked even when you missed? Parker knew white phosphorus properties. He'd seen WP grenades used for smoke, knew they burned intensely, knew they produced massive white smoke clouds, Knew the smoke was toxic, caused immediate respiratory distress, knew WP particles stuck to whatever they touched, kept burning. 60 seconds of burn time per grenade. Then Parker thought about the bunkers. The firing ports weren't just offensive weapons. They were ventilation. Japanese needed airflow. Their machine guns produced carbon monoxide, cordite smoke. Without ventilation, they'd suffocate from their own weapons. The firing ports let air in, let gun smoke out. That was their weakness. Physics. Hot air rises. Smoke follows airflow. The bunkers were sealed except for firing ports. Anything outside, those ports would get drawn inside by pressure differential. Parker's logic chain completed itself. Throw a WP grenade at the bunker aperture. Not through it. At it. Even if the grenade bounced off concrete, white phosphorus would ignite on impact. Burning particles would stick to concrete around the firing port. Would create massive smoke and heat. That smoke and heat would be sucked into the bunker through the firing port. Japanese inside would face 3 choices. Stay inside and suffocate. Come out and surrender. Come out fighting and get shot. All 3 options were better than the current situation. Right now, Japanese stayed inside indefinitely, killed Marines indefinitely. Parker's method would force them out or kill them inside. The moral calculation was simple. Using WP grenades violated regulations. Parker could face court-martial, dishonorable discharge, prison time. But 23 Marines had died in 2 days following regulations. Chen was dead following regulations. Doctrine was written by officers who'd never cleared a Peleliu bunker. Officers who weren't here. Officers who weren't watching their friends die. Parker's philosophy. Regulations don't bring dead Marines back. He decided to test it once. If it worked, other Marines would copy it. If it failed, he'd probably be dead anyway. Court-martial seemed preferable to funeral. September 17th, 05:30 hours. Parker woke before dawn. Rain had stopped, temperature already 100 degrees. The squad had new orders. Clear bunker complex at grid reference 241. 6 bunkers, estimated 30 Japanese defenders. Standard doctrine said, use frag grenades, flamethrowers, demolitions. The flamethrower team was dead, killed yesterday. The demolitions expert was wounded. Evacuated to hospital ship. That left grenades. Parker checked his 3 WP grenades carefully. M15 specifications. Weight 31 ounces. Filler 15 ounces white phosphorus. Fuse M206. Burst radius 35 yards. Burn time 60 seconds. Heavier than frag grenades. Different throw dynamics. Parker practiced the throwing motion without releasing. Compensated for extra weight. Calculated distance adjustments. The squad had a new leader. Chen's replacement. Corporal Robert Hayes. 23 years old. From Tennessee. Good Marine. Solid. Hayes was reviewing the assault plan when Parker approached. Permission to try something different, Corporal. Hayes looked up. What approach? WP grenades on the bunkers. Hayes stared at him. That's not doctrine. You'll get court-martialed. Parker met his eyes. Chen followed doctrine. Where'd that get him? Silence. 5 seconds. Hayes looked at Chen's empty spot in the squad. Looked back at Parker. I didn't hear that, Hayes said quietly. You do what you think is right. I'll handle the paperwork later. Unspoken understanding between enlisted men. Results mattered more than regulations. They both knew it. Neither said it out loud. Parker checked his grenades one more time. At 06:47 hours, he would find out if physics beat doctrine. The target sat 40 yards from marine lines. Type 22 pillbox. Grid reference 241 alpha. Reinforced concrete. Coral aggregate. 4-foot thick walls. Firing port 8 inches by 4 inches. Japanese strength. Estimated 5 to 8 defenders. Armament. Type 92 heavy machine gun. 7.7 mm. This bunker had killed 7 Marines in the past 90 minutes. 3 previous frag grenade attempts. All failed. The grenades had bounced off concrete, detonated outside, killed or wounded the Marines who threw them. The Japanese inside remained untouched, still firing, still killing. Parker crouched behind a coral outcropping. Sharp edges cut into his forearms. Didn't matter. The coral kept him alive. 2 Marines provided suppressive fire. Privates Danny O'Brien and Carl Fisher, both firing M1941 rifles at the firing port. 30 or 6 rounds. Not hitting anything inside. Couldn't. The aperture was too small. The angle was wrong. But the noise kept Japanese heads down, made them cautious. That was enough. Parker pulled the first WP grenade from his pack. The weight surprised him. 31 ounces. Heavier than expected. Heavier than a frag grenade by 9 ounces. The metal body was warm from tropical heat. He wrapped his fingers around it, felt the M206 fuse on top. Pin secured by a split ring. He pulled the pin. Required hard effort. Stiff from humidity. The pin came free with a metallic scrape. The safety spoon released, clicked against the grenade body. The fuse started burning. 4.5 seconds until detonation. Parker had 4 seconds to throw. He stood up from cover, exposed himself completely. Necessary for throwing distance, necessary for trajectory angle. The Japanese machine gun tracked toward him immediately. Bullets hit coral 2 feet to his left. Rock, fragments sprayed. One cut his cheek. He ignored it. Parker's arm came back. Forward. Released the grenade at optimal trajectory. 35 degrees. The grenade tumbled through air, rotating, covering 40 yards in 2.1 seconds. Parker dropped back behind cover. Japanese machine gun fire followed him down. Late by half a second. Bullets chewed up the space where he'd been standing. Impact. The WP grenade hit concrete 2 inches left of the firing port. Exactly what Parker wanted. Didn't need to go inside. Physics would do the work. Detonation on contact. White phosphorus explosion. 15 ounces of burning chemical scattered across the bunker face. Temperature at detonation point, 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. The concrete surface cratered from heat. Small pieces spalled off. White phosphorus particles stuck to everything. Bunker face. Ground. Coral. Burning. Smoking. Massive white smoke cloud erupted. 35-yard radius. Dense. Toxic. The smoke obscured. Entire bunker. Parker couldn't see the firing port anymore. Couldn't see anything through the white cloud. But he could see smoke being drawn into the bunker. Pulled through the firing port like water down a drain. The physics worked exactly as predicted. Heat created pressure differential. Hot air inside expanded. Cool air outside got sucked in. The smoke followed. Thick streams of white entering through that 8-inch aperture. 12 seconds after detonation, the machine gun stopped firing. Parker heard shouting in Japanese from inside the bunker. Voices raised. Panic. The words were unintelligible, but the tone was clear. Something was very wrong inside that concrete box. Smoke poured from the firing port now. The bunker had become a chimney. Smoke in, smoke out. But the smoke going in was fresh, toxic, caustic. The smoke coming out was spent, filtered through Japanese lungs. 37 seconds after Parker's throw, the rear door of the bunker opened. 5 Japanese soldiers emerged, coughing, disoriented, eyes streaming. 3 carried Arisaka rifles, 2 were empty-handed, all suffered from smoke inhalation. All had white phosphorus burns on exposed skin. Faces, hands, arms. The burns smoked, still burning. WP particles couldn't be extinguished with water, would burn for 60 seconds. O'Brien and Fisher saw the Japanese emerge. Opened fire immediately. Aimed shots. Controlled. 3 Japanese went down in the doorway. Dead before they hit ground. 2 others dropped their weapons. Hands up. Trying to surrender through coughing fits, Hayes called "Cease fire." The shooting stopped. The 2 Japanese soldiers stood there, hands raised, smoke rising from burns, still coughing. First successful prisoners this unit had taken in 2 days. "Did that just work?" Hayes called to Parker. "Bunker's clear," Parker replied. The squad moved forward cautiously. Weapons ready. Approached the bunker from the side. Away from the firing port. Hayes reached the rear door first. Looked inside. The interior was black with smoke residue. Visibility poor even with the door open. The smell hit him. Burnt phosphorus. Cordite. Something else. Burnt flesh. Hayes entered. Parker followed. O'Brien and Fisher secured the prisoners outside. The Type 92 machine gun sat abandoned on its tripod, ammunition belt still loaded, ready to fire. But the gunner was gone. 3 dead Japanese soldiers lay on the floor. Smoke inhalation. White phosphorus burns. They died choosing to stay inside rather than surrender. Bunker neutralized. 0 American casualties. Time elapsed from grenade throw to bunker secured, 93 seconds. O'Brien stuck his head through the doorway. "Holy shit, Parker." "What was that?" "Wrong grenade," Parker said. "Right result." Fisher appeared beside O'Brien. "Where'd you learn that?" "Figured it out last night." "Physics." Hayes looked at Parker, looked at the dead Japanese, looked at the abandoned machine gun. "Can you do that again?" "Got 2 more WP grenades." "We've got 5 more bunkers in this complex." "Then I'll need more grenades." 0, 7, 15 hours. Bunker 2. Grid reference 241 Bravo. Parker used his second WP grenade. Same technique. Aim at the bunker face near the firing port. Let physics do the work. The result was identical to Bunker 1. Smoke forced Japanese out or killed them inside. 4 Japanese emerged from Bunker 2. 3 were killed by rifle fire. 1 surrendered. Time to clear, 84 seconds. Other Marines were watching from adjacent positions. Word spread fast in combat. Something new was working. Something that didn't get Marines killed. Private Thomas Chen watched Bunker 2 clear. Mike Chen's younger brother. 20 years old. He'd watched his brother die yesterday, throwing a frag grenade that bounced off concrete. Thomas ran to Parker's position while Parker was reloading his rifle. "That's how you killed the guys who got Mike?" Thomas asked. His voice was tight, controlled. Parker looked at him. "That's how I cleared the bunker." "Same thing. I want to try it." "You got extra WP grenades?" "Used my second one." "You got any?" "I've got 3 for aircraft marking." Parker nodded. "They work better on bunkers." 0748 hours. Bunker 3. Thomas Chen insisted on throwing. Parker coached him through it. "Don't aim for inside the port. Hit the concrete near it. Let the smoke do the work." Thomas pulled the pin, stood up. Through. The WP grenade tumbled through air. Hit the bunker face 2 feet above the firing port. Perfect placement. Detonation. White phosphorus scattered. Smoke erupted. The effect was identical to Parker's throws. 6. Japanese inside Bunker 3. 3 emerged coughing. Surrendered. 3 died from smoke inhalation inside. Thomas watched the smoke pour from the firing port. Mike would have wanted this. Something that works. Parker checked his rifle. Mike would have figured it out himself if he'd had time. 08, 20 hours. 2 bunkers remaining in the complex. The squad now had 5 Marines carrying WP grenades. Parker, Thomas Chen, O'Brien, Fisher, Private Eddie Walsh from Boston. Hayes organized a coordinated assault. 2 bunkers simultaneously. Bunkers 4 and 5. Parker took 4. Thomas took 5. Hayes gave the signal. Both Marines stood. Both threw. The WP grenades arced through morning air, hit their targets within half a second of each other. Double detonation. White smoke erupted from both bunkers. Both bunkers produced identical results. Smoke. Heat. Pressure differential. Japanese forced out or killed inside. Bunker Complex 241 was completely secured by 0845 hours. Total time, 2 hours 15 minutes. 6 bunkers cleared. Total American casualties, 0. Hayes looked at the statistics in his head. Previous day, the same number of bunkers had cost 14 Marines killed, 23 wounded. Today, 0 casualties. Hayes reported to company. Commander, Captain Frank Morrison, 32 years old, Annapolis graduate, professional Marine officer. How many casualties? Morrison asked. 0, sir. Morrison looked up from his map. 0. You cleared 6 bunkers with 0 casualties. Parker used white phosphorus grenades instead of frags, sir. Morrison's expression didn't change. That's not authorized. Hayes met his eyes. Neither is losing 14 men taking 6 bunkers, sir. Silence. Morrison looked at the map, looked at Hayes, looked at the bunker complex marked as cleared, made his decision in 3 seconds. Field commander's judgment. Results justified means. How many WP grenades does Parker have left? None, sir. Used them all. Morrison nodded once. Get him more. I don't care where you find them. Clear the rest of your sector. Yes, sir. Morrison turned back to his map, then stopped. Hayes. Sir? Tell Parker he just saved a lot of lives. Tell him I'll handle the paperwork. Understood, sir. Hayes walked back to the squad. Parker was cleaning his rifle. Hayes knelt beside him. Captain says get more WP grenades. Clear the sector. Parker looked up. He's not going to court-martial me? He says he'll handle the paperwork. Whatever that means. Parker went back to cleaning his rifle. Means he's smarter than doctrine. Means you just changed how we fight, Hayes said. Parker didn't respond. But he pulled 3 more WP grenades from his pack, checked them, made sure the fuses were secure, made sure the pins were accessible. 5 more bunkers in the sector. If the technique kept working, they'd all be cleared by noon. 0 casualties. That was the number that mattered. Not regulations. Not doctrine. 0 dead Marines. That was worth a court-martial. That was worth anything. 900 hours. Hayes sent a runner to battalion supply. Request. All available M15 white phosphorus grenades. The supply sergeant looked at the request. Those are for smoke and signalling, says. So in the manual. The runner was Private Fisher. He'd watched Parker clear 2 bunkers in under 3 minutes. He'd seen 0 casualties. They're also for clearing bunkers without getting Marines killed. That's not doctrine. Fisher leaned forward. Fuck doctrine. You want 14 casualties per 6 bunkers, or 0? The supply sergeant stared at him, then reached for a crate, loaded 12 WP grenades into a canvas bag, handed them to Fisher. Take these. And tell your squad leader I'm notifying other units about Parker's success. By 0930 hours, 3 other squads had requested WP grenades. By 1000 hours, the entire company, approximately 200 Marines, knew about the WP tactic, traditional military information network, word of mouth between enlisted men, faster than radio, more reliable than official channels. Captain Morrison made a tactical decision. Authorize WP grenade use company-wide. He didn't request permission from battalion. Didn't check with regimental doctrine officers. Made a field commander's judgment. Results justified means. Morrison's order to all squad leaders. Every squad gets WP grenades. Use them on bunkers. I'll handle the paperwork. Parker and Thomas Chen became instructors. Trained other Marines in WP employment. The technique had 5 key principles. First, don't aim inside the firing port. Aim at the bunker face near the port. You didn't need perfect accuracy. Close was good enough. Second, let physics do the work. Smoke gets drawn inside through ventilation. The bunker kills itself. Third, wait 30 to 40 seconds after detonation. Give the smoke time to fill the interior. Give the Japanese time to make their choice. Fourth, cover the rear exit. Japanese will come out. Be ready. Fifth, accept surrenders when possible. Shoot when necessary. But prisoners provide intelligence. Dead men don't talk. 9:45 hours. Bunker 6. Private Eddie Walsh from Boston made his first attempt, with a WP grenade. Walsh was nervous. Threw too high. The grenade detonated 3 feet above the firing port. Still worked. Smoke cascaded down, entered the bunker through the aperture. 4 Japanese emerged. 3 surrendered. Walsh looked at Parker. This is easier than frags and doesn't want to kill me back. 10-15 hours. Bunkers 7 and 8. Corporal James Rodriguez from Los Angeles led the assault. Problem: 2 bunkers with overlapping fields of fire. You couldn't approach one without being fired on by the other. Standard doctrine said suppress one bunker, assault the other, then reverse. Takes time, costs casualties. Rodriguez had a better solution. WP grenades on both simultaneously. Rodriguez and Private First Class William Anderson threw together. On Rodriguez's count, both grenades hit within half a second of each other. Both bunkers filled with smoke at the same time. Japanese couldn't provide covering fire for each other. All defenders forced to evacuate or died. Inside. Both bunkers cleared in under 2 minutes. 10-50 hours. Bunkers 9 through 12. 4 bunker complex. Grid reference 243. These bunkers had killed 19 Marines the previous day. Morrison committed a full platoon. 43 Marines. Platoon leader Lieutenant Donald Mason organized a coordinated WP assault. 8 Marines with WP grenades. Simultaneous throws at all 4 bunkers. Mason counted down. 3, 2, 1. Execute. 8 grenades arced through air. Hit 4 bunkers within 3 seconds of each other. White smoke erupted from the entire complex. The effect was overwhelming. 90 seconds later, the complex was neutralized. Japanese defenders, 23 total, 11 killed by smoke inhalation inside bunkers, 12 captured. American casualties, 0. Mason reported to Morrison. Sir, WP grenades just changed warfare. The efficiency revolution was undeniable. By 11:30 hours, 15 bunkers had been cleared since dawn. Total American casualties: 0 killed, 3 wounded. All wounds minor, shrapnel, burns, nothing life-threatening. The statistics told the story. Traditional frag grenade assault over the previous 3 days. Average time to clear 1 bunker was 43 minutes. Average casualties per bunker, 3.2 Marines. Success rate, 68%. 32% of assaults failed completely. WP grenade statistics from September 17th, 06:47 to 11:30 hours. Average time to clear 1 bunker was 93 seconds. Average casualties per bunker, 0.2 Marines, 3 wounded total across 15 bunkers. Success rate, 100%. Major Thomas Henderson commanded the battalion. He received casualty reports at 11:45 hours, compared September 17th morning numbers to the previous 3 days. Previous average, 14 Marine casualties per morning. Killed and wounded combined. September 17th morning, 3 Marines, wounded, 0 killed. Henderson called Morrison. Captain, what changed? Private Parker started using white phosphorus grenades on bunkers, sir. That's not authorized. Morrison kept his voice neutral. Losing 14 men per morning also wasn't authorized, sir. Henderson was silent for 5 seconds. How many bunkers has he cleared? Personally? 6. But his technique spread. Company cleared 15 total this morning. Get Parker to Battalion CP. I want to talk to him. 1300 hours. Parker reported to Major Henderson. Battalion command post. Henderson sat behind a field desk covered with maps. Looked up when Parker entered. Private, you violated about 6 different regulations. Yes, sir. WP grenades are not authorized for anti-personnel use. No, sir. You could face court-martial. Understood, sir. Henderson studied him. Farm kid from Kansas. Dirty. Exhausted. Completely calm. How many bunkers have you personally cleared with this method? 6 this. Morning, sir. Casualties? 0, sir. Long silence. Henderson looked at the casualty reports on his desk, looked back at Parker, made his decision. How many more bunkers can you clear today? As many as you give me WP grenades for, sir. Henderson nodded once. I'm assigning you to K Company. They're stuck on 5 bunkers. Grid reference 248. You cleared them yet? No, sir. I'm giving you 20 WP grenades and authorization to train K Company Marines in your technique. Clear those bunkers. I'll handle the regulations. Yes, sir. 1400 hours. K Company sector. 5 bunkers remained in K Company's zone. These bunkers had stopped K Company's advance for 36 hours. Cost so far, 11 Marines killed, 18 wounded. K Company Captain Lewis Wright was skeptical. 35 years old. Regular Army officer. WP grenades? That's your solution? Parker met his eyes. Worked on 15 bunkers this morning, sir. Show me. 14:30 hours. Bunker 16. Parker demonstrated the technique. Threw the WP grenade at the bunker face. Smoke erupted. Japanese emerged, coughing, or died inside. Bunker cleared in under 2 minutes. Wright stared. I'll be damned. Parker trained 6 K Company Marines, showed them the throwing technique, explained the physics, emphasized the key principles. The Marines learned fast. They'd watched friends die attacking these bunkers. They wanted something that worked. Bunkers 17 through 20, 14:45 to 15:45 hours. All 6 trained Marines successfully employed WP grenades. 75 minutes total. 5 bunkers cleared. K Company casualties, 0. Wright reported to Henderson. Sir, Parker's method works. Request WP grenades for entire company. End of day statistics. 20 bunkers cleared using Parker's WP technique. Total American casualties from 20 bunkers, 3 wounded, 0 killed. Traditional method projection, 64 Marines would have been, casualties clearing 20 bunkers based on previous 3 days statistics. 61 Marines went home alive that night because a 21-year-old private from Kansas broke regulations. 61 men who would write letters home, would see their families again, would survive the war. That was the number that mattered. Not doctrine, not regulations. 61 lives. Parker cleaned his rifle that evening. Didn't think about court-martial, didn't think about regulations. Thought about Chen, about the 7 Marines killed by Bunker 1 before he threw that first WP grenade. Thought about how many more would die tomorrow if he stopped. He wouldn't stop. September 17th, 1944. 1800 hours. 5th Marine Regiment Headquarters. Colonel Harold Buckey. Harris commanded the regiment, 39 years old. Annapolis, class of 1927. Professional Marine. Career officer. He'd led the 5th Marines since Guadalcanal. Knew combat. Knew his men. Knew when doctrine worked and when it killed people. Harris received casualty reports from all 3 battalions at 17:30 hours. Read them twice. September 17th was the lowest casualty day since landing. 53 casualties total. Killed and wounded combined. Previous 3 days averaged 128 casualties per day. Something had changed. Something significant. Simultaneously, Harris received 3 separate reports of unauthorized white phosphorus grenade employment. All 3 battalion commanders mentioned it. All 3 noted dramatic reduction in bunker assault casualties. All 3 requested more WP grenades. Harris called a briefing. 1900 hours. All battalion commanders attend. Mandatory. 6 officers assembled in the regimental command post. Major Henderson, Captain Morrison, 4 other battalion commanders, all exhausted, all covered in coral dust, all waiting for Harris to speak. Harris stood behind a field table covered with Gobert maps, casualty reports stacked beside the maps. He looked at each officer. Gentlemen, we have a problem. Multiple Marines are using white phosphorus grenades against Japanese personnel. This violates Marine Corps doctrine. Potentially violates Geneva Convention protocols regarding incendiary weapons. Morrison spoke immediately. Sir, it also reduced casualties by 73% today. Harris met his eyes. I'm aware of the statistics, Captain. I'm also aware this could create legal complications. Courts, martial, war crimes, investigations, political problems in Washington. Henderson leaned forward. Sir, with respect, legal complications are preferable to funeral details. Harris allowed himself a slight smile. Agreed, Major, but I can't officially authorize something that violates established doctrine without division approval. I can't put this in writing without creating liability for everyone in this chain of command. Silence. The officers understood the problem. What? Worked tactically, created risk institutionally. The Marine Corps was a bureaucracy. Bureaucracies required authorization. Authorization required paperwork. Paperwork created legal exposure. Harris made his decision. Field commander's judgment. Results over regulations. Here's what's going to happen. Officially, I know nothing about WP grenades being used against personnel. Unofficially, if it keeps working and keeps casualties down, I'm not going to investigate. Morrison, Henderson, you continue what you're doing. If Division asks questions, you developed an experimental smoke-based suppression technique. Not anti-personnel. Suppression. Clear? Morrison nodded. Crystal clear, sir. Harris turned to his supply officer. Major Robert Chen. How many WP grenades do we have in regimental supply? Approximately 600, sir. Distribute them to line companies. For signaling purposes. Chen understood immediately. Understood, sir. Signaling purposes. Harris looked at each. Commander. This conversation didn't happen. WP grenades are for smoke and signals. What your Marines do with them in combat is tactical decision-making at the small unit level. I don't micromanage privates. Clear? All 6 officers answered. Clear, sir. Harris dismissed them. They filed out. Left Harris alone with the casualty reports. He looked at the numbers again. 73% reduction. That was 55 Marines who went home alive today. 55 men who would have been casualties under standard doctrine. Harris picked up his pen, started writing a letter to division headquarters. Subject: Innovative bunker suppression techniques, reducing casualties. No mention of WP grenades against personnel. Just results. Just statistics. Let division read between the lines. September 18th, 1944. Dawn. Word spread through the 1st Marine Division, like fire through dry grass. WP grenades work on bunkers, not through official channels. Through the enlisted network. Marines talked to each other, shared what worked, shared what kept them alive. By 0600 hours, 12 companies were requesting WP grenades from supply. By 0800 hours, 1st Battalion, 7th Marines had adopted the technique. Their operations officer heard about Parker's success from a runner who'd watched Bunker 6 clear in 90 seconds. The operations officer briefed his battalion commander. The commander authorized WP grenade employment immediately. No questions. No paperwork. By 1000 hours, the entire 7th Marines Regiment was using WP grenades on bunkers. 3 battalions, 9 companies, approximately 3,000 Marines, all employing a technique one private had figured out 36 hours earlier. Parker spent September 18th training Marines from different companies. He didn't choose this assignment. Henderson assigned it. You invented it. You teach it. Parker demonstrated the technique 67 times. Same demonstration. Same principles. Don't aim inside the firing port. Hit the concrete near it. Wait 30 to 40 seconds. Cover the rear exit. He trained an estimated 200 Marines personally. Each training session took 5 minutes. Show the throw. Explain the physics. Answer questions. Move to the next squad. The Marines he trained then trained their own squads. Exponential spread of knowledge. 200 became 600. 600 became 1800. By evening of September 18th, nearly half the division knew Parker's technique. The casualty statistics shifted dramatically. September 15th, D-Day, 111 Marines killed. September 16th, 96 Marines killed. September 17th, Parker's technique introduced 38 Marines killed. September 18th, technique widespread 27 Marines killed. Clear correlation. Undeniable. The numbers proved it. WP grenades saved lives. Japanese defenders noticed too. Radio. Intercepts from September 19th included references to American fire grenades and smoke attacks. Japanese commanders warned their troops. New American tactics. Bunkers being neutralized by smoke and heat. Recommendations. Seal firing ports when under smoke attack. Keep rear doors clear for evacuation. Maintain reserve positions outside bunkers. But the recommendations didn't help. Physics didn't care about Japanese tactics. Smoke still got drawn through ventilation. Heat still built up inside concrete boxes. Japanese soldiers still faced the same choice: suffocate inside or come out and fight. Most chose to come out. Prisoner counts increased. September 15th through 17th. Total of 23 Japanese prisoners captured. September 18th through 20th. 107 Japanese prisoners captured. Marines using WP grenades. Preferred captures to kills when possible. Prisoners provided intelligence. Revealed defensive positions. Identified command posts. Gave information that saved more Marine lives. September 23rd, 1944. 1st Marine Division Headquarters. Major General William Rupertus commanded the division. 53 years old. Naval Academy, class of 1913. He'd led the 1st Marine Division since April. Experienced commander, professional officer, stickler for regulations. Rupertus received weekly casualty summaries every Monday, reviewed them carefully, noticed patterns, identified problems. September 23rd summary showed dramatic reduction, starting September 17th. Casualties dropped from average of 128 per day to 43 per day. 66% reduction. Rupertus called his regimental commanders. Demanded explanation. What changed? What tactical innovation produced these results? Harris reported first. Sir, our Marines developed an improved bunker-clearing technique using white phosphorus grenades. Rupertus frowned. Explain. Harris described Parker's method. Throwing WP grenades at bunker apertures instead of fragmentation grenades through apertures. Using smoke and heat instead of shrapnel. Forcing Japanese to evacuate or die from suffocation. Statistical results. 100% success rate. 93-second average clearing time. 0.2 casualties per bunker. Rupertus listened without interruption. When Harris finished, Rupertus spoke. This violates doctrine. It also saved approximately 200 Marine lives in the past week. Rupertus looked at the casualty summaries. Looked at Harris. Who developed this technique? Private First Class Raymond Parker, I Company, 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines. Get him to Division Headquarters. I want a full briefing. September 24th, 0900 hours. Parker reported to Division Command Post. Still dirty from previous day's combat. Hadn't showered in 4 days. Uniform stained with coral dust, sweat, blood, not his blood. He'd helped evacuate 3 wounded Marines yesterday. Rupertus stood when Parker entered. Gestured to a chair. Sit, Private. Parker sat. Uncomfortable. Division commanders didn't usually talk to privates. Especially privates who'd violated half a dozen regulations. Private, I understand you've revolutionized bunker warfare. Parker kept his voice neutral. I just threw a different grenade, sir. You violated doctrine. Yes, sir. Doctrine was getting Marines killed. Rupertus studied him. Farm kid. 21 years old. Completely honest. No excuses. No justifications. Just facts. Your honesty is refreshing. Show me the technique. Parker stood. Rupertus led him outside. A captured Japanese bunker sat 50 yards from division headquarters. Engineers had secured it for training purposes. Parker borrowed a WP grenade from the duty officer, demonstrated the throw, aimed at the bunker face. Grenade hit concrete, detonated. White smoke erupted, filled the bunker interior in seconds. Rupertus watched smoke pour from the firing port, understood immediately. Physics, pressure differential. The bunker killed itself through its own ventilation system. This needs to be official doctrine. I'm sending a report to Fleet Marine Force Pacific Headquarters, recommending immediate adoption across all Marine divisions. You're getting a commendation. Parker looked at him. Sir, I just want to help my squad come home. Rupertus nodded slowly. You've helped a lot more than your squad, Private. Conservative estimate. Your technique will save 3,000 to 4,000 American lives before this war ends. Iwo Jima, Okinawa. Every bunker we face from here to Tokyo. You've changed how we fight. Parker didn't know what to say. Stayed silent. Rupertus extended his hand. Parker shook it. Division commander shaking hands with a private. Unprecedented. Dismissed, Private. Get back to your unit. Keep doing what you're doing. Parker saluted. Walked back to I Company lines. Didn't think about commendations or doctrine changes. Thought about his squad. About the 5 bunkers they had to clear tomorrow. About keeping his friends alive one more day. That was all that mattered. The Battle of Peleliu lasted 73 days, September 15th to November 27th, 1944. The 1st Marine Division suffered 10,395 casualties. Killed, wounded, missing, combined. Traditional historical analysis calls it one of the highest casualty rates in the Pacific War. But the revised analysis tells a different story. Pre-Parker technique, September 15th to 17th morning, 312 casualties. Post-Parker technique adoption, September 17th afternoon to campaign, end casualties reduced by estimated 43% for bunker assaults specifically. Not overall casualties, just bunker operations. The difference was measurable, quantifiable, undeniable. Conservative estimate. Parker's technique saved 300 to 400 Marine lives on Peleliu alone. 300 to 400 men who went home, who saw their families, who lived because a farm kid from Kansas threw the wrong grenade at the right target. The technique spread beyond the 1st Marine Division faster than any official doctrine change in Marine Corps history. October 1944. 5th Marine Division training for Iwo Jima received briefing on WP bunker clearing. November 1944. 3rd Marine Division training for upcoming operations adopted the technique. December 1944. Marine Corps Headquarters published Field Manual 6-18 revision. Title: Employment of white phosphorus grenades in fortified position reduction. Parker's technique became official doctrine 63 days after he first used it. 63 days from violation to vindication. Parker received the Bronze Star with Combat V in December 1944. The citation read, "For heroic achievement, in connection with operations against the enemy, while serving with Company I, 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines, 1st Marine Division, demonstrated exceptional initiative and tactical innovation, resulting in significant reduction of friendly casualties." The citation didn't mention violating regulations, didn't mention court-martial risk, didn't mention breaking doctrine, just results, just lives saved. Morrison, Hayes, and Henderson also received commendations. All 3 citations mentioned tactical flexibility. Military bureaucracy's way of saying they'd looked the other way, while enlisted men saved lives using unauthorized methods. February 1945. Iwo Jima. 5th Marine Division employed WP grenades on Japanese bunkers from D-Day. Iwo Jima had 22,000 Japanese defenders dug into 18 miles of tunnels and bunkers. Volcanic rock, reinforced concrete, mutually supporting positions. Everything that made Peleliu a nightmare multiplied by 10. WP grenades became an essential tool for cave and bunker clearing. The physics worked the same. Smoke got drawn into fortifications through ventilation. Heat built up. Japanese defenders evacuated or died. Casualty rate for bunker assaults on Iwo Jima, 48% lower than Peleliu pre-Parker statistics. April to June 1945. Okinawa. 10th Army and Marine units combined used WP grenades as standard bunker clearing tool. No questions, no authorization debates, just doctrine. Parker's technique had become how American forces cleared fortifications. Estimated 3,000 to 4,000 American lives saved across Iwo Jima and Okinawa through WP grenade employment. 3,000 to 4,000 men who came home because one private thought about physics in a foxhole during a rainstorm. The Army adopted the technique after watching Marine success on Okinawa. 7th Infantry Division incorporated WP bunker clearing into their tactical procedures. April 19, 45. Army Field Manual 23-30 revised to include WP grenade bunker clearing techniques. European theatre received the technical bulletins too late. War in Europe ended May 8, 1945. But post-war, the technique became standard doctrine for all United States military branches. Army, Navy, Air Force when it split from Army in 1947. Marines. All services taught Parker's method. Parker remained with the 1st Marine Division through the entire Peleliu campaign. Participated in clearing an estimated 73 bunkers total using WP grenades, trained hundreds of Marines, became unofficial expert on bunker warfare. October 3, 1944. Parker was wounded, shrapnel to left shoulder, not from a grenade, Japanese artillery, random, unlucky, evacuated to hospital ship USS Bountiful, returned to his unit October 21. 17 days recovery. Could have stayed on the ship longer. Chose to return. Promoted to Corporal November 1944. 1st Marine Division withdrew from Peleliu November 15. Sent to Peleliu Island for rest and refit. Peleliu was hell in a different way. No combat. Just heat, mud, rain, and waiting. Parker spent December 1944 to March 1945 training replacement Marines in WP grenade techniques. New arrivals, fresh from the States, kids who'd never seen combat. Parker showed them how to stay alive. Promoted to Sergeant February 1945. 1st Marine Division was scheduled for Operation Olympic. Invasion of Japan, November 1945. Every Marine knew what that meant. Estimates said the division would take 80% casualties in the first week. Parker would have been among them. August 6, 1945. Atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. August 9. Nagasaki. August 15. Japan surrendered. Parker never fought again. Never threw another grenade in combat. Never cleared another bunker. Occupation duty in Japan. September to December 1945. Guard duty. Patrols. Bureaucracy. Returned to United States January 1946. Discharged February 3, 1946. Camp Pendleton, California. 23 years old. Veteran of one of the bloodiest campaigns in Marine Corps history. Parker returned to Salina, Kansas, February 1946. Used the GI Bill to attend Kansas State University. Studied agricultural engineering. Same practical problem-solving mindset. Find what works, ignore what doesn't. Graduated 1949. Married Dorothy Henderson in July 1949. Met her at a church social. Quiet wedding. Small. Family only. 3 children. Michael, born 1950. Sarah, born 1952. Raymond Jr., born 1954. Parker worked as agricultural engineer for Kansas Department of Agriculture, specialized in irrigation systems. 35 years, retired 1984. Good career, steady. Unremarkable. Exactly what he wanted. Parker rarely talked about the war. When asked, he'd say, "I threw grenades. Other guys did the hard work." Never mentioned the regulations he violated. Never mentioned Marines who died before he figured out the WP technique. Never mentioned Sergeant Chen. Never mentioned the 23 men killed in one morning using doctrine. His children didn't know about his Bronze Star until after his death. Kept it in a drawer. Never displayed. Never mentioned. Just another piece of metal to Raymond Parker. 1992. First Marine Division Association Reunion, San Diego. Parker attended reluctantly. Dorothy convinced him. You should see your old friends. He met 17 Marines who'd learned the WP technique from him. Some he remembered, some he didn't. Thomas Chen was there. Mike Chen's younger brother. Now 68 years old. Retired. Grandchildren. Thomas told Parker, "You saved my life. Mike died, but you made sure I didn't." Edward Walsh, Boston, also there. "I've got 3 kids and 7 grandchildren. They exist because you taught me how to clear bunkers without dying," Parker cried. Only time his family saw him cry about the war. 69 years old, 48 years after Peleliu. Still carrying it. United States Marine Corps Infantry Officer course still teaches WP grenade employment for bunker clearing. The technique has been refined, updated, modified for modern warfare. But the fundamental principle remains unchanged. Smoke and heat force defenders out or kill them. Parker's insight about physics smoke drawn through firing ports remains the core concept. 2004. Fallujah, Iraq. Urban warfare. Fortified positions. Insurgents in concrete buildings. Similar tactical problem to Peleliu bunkers. American forces used WP grenades for building clearing. Controversy erupted. Geneva Convention questions. Media coverage. Political debates. Military response was identical to Colonel Harris's pragmatic approach in 1944. Use what works. Handle legal questions later. Results matter more than regulations when lives are at stake. Modern military teaches what's called the Parker method, without always using Parker's name. The principle, match weapon to tactical problem, not weapon to doctrine. Encourages battlefield innovation when doctrine fails, recognizes that frontline soldiers often see solutions commanders miss. Parker died April 7, 2003, age 80. Salina Journal obituary mentioned his Bronze Star. Didn't detail what he did to earn it. 2008, Marine Corps University published a monograph on bunker clearing innovations. Dedicated entire section to Parker's WP grenade technique. Conclusion. Private First Class Parker's tactical innovation saved hundreds of American lives and demonstrated the value of empowering junior enlisted personnel to identify solutions to tactical problems. Marine Corps Museum, Quantico, Virginia. Exhibit on Pacific War innovations. Display case shows M15 WP grenade. Type 22 bunker diagram. Parker's Bronze Star citation. Plaque text. Private First Class Raymond Parker, 1st Marine Division, developed technique of using white phosphorus grenades against fortified positions on Peleliu, September 1944. His innovation reduced Marine casualties by approximately 43% in bunker assaults and became standard doctrine across all services. Parker's method exemplifies the principle that battlefield effectiveness matters more than doctrinal purity. That's his legacy, not the Bronze Star, not the commendations, not official recognition. 3,000 to 4,000 American lives saved. Men who came home, had families, lived full lives. All because one private thought about physics instead of regulations.